Well, good morning, friends and family. It's good to be here together this morning. I do want to extend a special thank you and welcome to all of our mothers who are here with us this morning. Our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, foster moms, adopted moms, mothers-in-law, and all the special women in our lives who may not be family, but they're just about as close as you can get. Today is a special celebration for you, for the love that you pour out on your children and the light that you shine through your care. You have been chosen to serve the Lord in this remarkably beautiful way. You serve as a reflection of His divine nature in your kids' lives. Thank you for all that you do and all that you are. Happy Mother's Day. Every once in a while, I post a question on our church Facebook page to try to get some input from the congregation pertaining to the sermon that week. Sometimes I get a little bit of feedback. Sometimes I get a bunch. Well, this week I posted one of those questions and I got many responses, tons of answers, and they were solid gold. This week the question was this: what is a book or a story that you read to your kids when they were little, or that your mother read to you? Here we go. Here's the amazing list. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, Click, Clack, Moo, Pete the Cat, Dinosaurs Love Underpants, Goodnight Moon, Magic Treehouse, You Are Special, Pajama Time, There's a Monster at the End of This Book, Stella Luna, I Love You to the Moon and Back, Llama Llama, Red Pajama, The Velveteen Rabbit, Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, Mike Mullican and His Steam Shovel, Dr. Seuss's ABCs, The Crows of Pear Blossom, The Big Sea, The Diggers, Sleepy Bears, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, Pokey Little Puppy, Golden Books, Little Engine That Could, Dr. Seuss's Are You My Mother, The Berenstain Bears, Where the Wild Things Are, The Giving Tree, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, The Chronicles of Narnia, and, of course, the Bible. Now, several of those appeared multiple times as they are timeless classics beloved by parents and children. Of course, you cannot forget, this one probably showed up more times than anything else, I Love You Forever. My mom used to read that one to me. Jenna read it to our boys until the binding fell apart. Many of the mothers who posted that on our site said it usually ends with tears. But perhaps my most favorite submission to the list came from Ellen Fontenot, a book titled, I Love You, Stinky Face. I had never read I Love You, Stinky Face before, but I found it as fast as I could and I read it and it's fantastic, doesn't disappoint, highly recommend it. Reading to your kids is an important and sweet and special ritual of family life. Story time is quality time. It is a deliberate practice of slowing down your day, of hearing one another's voices, and usually sitting near to one another. And the colorful pages and playful wording of children's books spark imagination. It helps develop vocabulary, and it provides a unique opportunity to impart knowledge and wisdom using fun characters, silly situations, and animals. For example, Pete the cat is not just a groovy dark blue cat. He's also the kind of guy that doesn't let little things like missing buttons ruin his day. And he keeps on singing his song even when his brand new white shoes get muddy. And it's a valuable lesson to learn, such as hearing your mother still loves you even when the both of you are all grown up, and that she would love you even if you were a stinky-faced skunk. And that teaches kids that home and family are safe. They're secure, even when life gets complicated. My mom would read to me often, including many of the books on this list. Now, I personally hated reading, but I loved listening to stories. One genre in particular that my mom used to read to me a lot were stories called Choose Your Own Adventure books. If you're not familiar with this type of story, here's how it works. Every few pages or so, you, as the reader, have a choice to make. Does the main character leave the trail and go talk to the mysterious stranger? If so, turn to page 7? Or do they stay on the path and go into the dark forest? If so, turn to page 14. If you were to read through one of these books straight through, cover to cover, it wouldn't make any sense. That's just not how it's put together. Because as you read, you're skipping and jumping all over the place as the story leads to a variety of endings that are all based on the outcome of your decisions. Now, I loved these kinds of books, but I was not very good at them. I remember as a kid having a knack for making the wrong choices that would lead to unsatisfactory and premature endings. I'd say, let's go to page 55 and go into the haunted mansion, only to be kidnapped and imprisoned by the witch. The end, the story's over. That's really how those books were written. You make the wrong choice, the end, it's all over. But here's what my mom would do. When I would run the story into the ground, my mom had her finger kept between the pages, marking the position of my previous choice. And if the story did not turn out the way that we had hoped that it would, she would go back and let me try again, and again and again, until we found the closure that we were looking for. My mom had this desire for us to have a good story with a good ending. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4. Love is patient and love is kind. It does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice with wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, and hopes all things. So much of this passage is present in the love of our Christian mothers. And today we specifically focus on hope. Love hopes all things. Godly moms are filled with hope. As we search the pages of Scripture, of God's story, we see time after time moms who have hope for their children. Consider all the points in a child's life where hope is needed from a mom. Before your baby is even born, a mother hopes what he or she will become. What will they be like? What will they do? What's their life and their personality what kind of life and personality will they have? Will they have my eyes? Will they have their father's smile? And then that hope presents itself as worry sometimes. Will they be healthy? Will they choose right from wrong? And those concerns are an expression of hope. You hope that they will be well and that they will do well. And then you deliver your baby and you hold them and you love them dearly, and they grow up a little bit and they turn into these little 2-year-old tornadoes. And they're still precious and they're still gentle and sweet, but they're curious and they're clumsy and they're very mobile. And you hope that they grow out of it. And they learn to say your name. Mom, 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 watch this. Mom, where are you? Mom, what are you doing? Mom, what is this? Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I need you. Mom, I'm bleeding. Mom, mom, mom. Lots of hopes. In the teenage years, also lots of hopes, but different and new hopes. You hope that they're safe. You hope that their friends are good influences. You hope that they're doing all right when you're not around. You hope that they make good choices. You hope they think you're cool. You hope that you did the right thing. You hope they still love you back. And then adulthood. You hope for their career. You hope for their home. Maybe you hope for their marriage and their family. Maybe they have kids of their own, and so now you hope for your own grandkids, your new grandkids. You hope they're doing all right. You hope that their faith is still strong within them. And eventually the time comes where you are hopeful for the days that you will not see. I hope that they'll be all right without me. You hope for all the generations to come. The love of a mother always hopes. So you work so hard and you pray so much, hoping that everything turns out all right. I think of a woman in Scripture named Jochebed. She is first introduced to us in Exodus chapter 2. She becomes a mom when it is a very dangerous time to be a mom. The people of Israel, God's chosen holy nation, have been living in the land of Egypt for many, many years, hundreds of years. And those years have been good. They're years of prosperity and flourishing. God put them there on purpose for a reason. And with that safety has come this enormous multiplication. So much so that it makes the Pharaoh nervous. He says, Exodus 1 verse 9, "Behold, the people of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. So come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply, and if war breaks out, then they join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land." So he turns the nation of Israel into a nation of slaves, burdens them with oppression and hard labor. But it's amazing, they multiply all the more, thanks largely to the faithful midwives who would not harm the newborn Israelite boys as the king had dictated. And so that makes him mad, and he escalates things. He puts out an order, and he says all firstborn sons of Israel are to be cast into the Nile River. This is an incredibly awful tragedy, a genocide. It's a season of profound heartbreak for the Hebrews. You have all these moms who are filled with all of these hopes and aspirations and dreams for this newborn baby, dreams and hopes that will never be realized. But Jochebed, Exodus 2:2, conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. Now must have been incredibly challenging. It is hard to keep a baby hidden for 3 months. And that's a great sacrifice to herself. A newborn requires constant attention. So if he's hidden, that must mean she must have hid herself pretty well also. She loves her child. She cannot stand to see him harmed. But she can only do that for so long. When she could hide him no longer, she took for him a basket made of bulrushes and daubed it with bitumen and pitch. And she put the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the riverbank. And his sister stood at a distance to know what would be done to him. And sometimes big sister plays an important role as well. His mom must have been so desperate, aware of the suspicious attention that a growing boy would draw. Now, she takes a big risk, but it comes from a big leap of faith. She must have taken such care in crafting his little lifeboat, making sure that there were no leaks, making sure that he was comfortable and that he would be safe. Verse 5, "Now the daughter of the Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, while her young women walked beside the river. And she saw the basket among the reeds and sent her servant woman, and she took it. And when she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying. So she took pity on him, and she said, 'This is one of the Hebrews' children.'" Sometimes God uses an adoptive mother to be a rescuer. He's crying, and that pricks her heart. Now she knows her father's edict. She knows why that baby is in the river. She knows what sort of forbidden child this is, but she loves. And so her love overcomes any fear that she may have. Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call for you a nurse from the Hebrew women to come and nurse this child for you?" Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And so the girl went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him. Jochebed gets paid to raise her own son. It's amazing. I'm sure all the moms in here would love that. And while she is a natural mother, while she is his natural mother, she also serves as a foster mother. She is a temporary parent during a critical time. Now, this is not all of the hopes that she would have had for his life, but she has protected him and preserved him. He is alive because she had hope. She provides not only health and life, but teaching and nurturing, influence and care. And as a result of her hope, many, many lives are saved as a result. Her child, Moses, would become a spokesman for God. He would lead the people of Israel out of oppression and slavery and towards a new home in the promised land. He would be the one to receive the law from God and hear the very name of God. Exodus 3:14, God said to Moses, "I am who I am." He said, "Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you." Now, we all have big hopes for our kids, but the Lord may have much, much bigger hopes than you can even imagine. It is amazing to see what God can do and will do through the incredible love of a mother. Elsewhere, God finds two hopeless women, Ruth and Naomi. Naomi has already lost a husband and two children. She goes so far as to rename herself Mara. It's a reflection on her life's bitterness, but there is a bond of love between daughter-in-law and mother-in-law, Ruth. Ruth stays by her side. And Ruth gives birth to a son, names him Obed, and because of him, hope is restored. The people say to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him." Now, Obed is also born at a pretty rough time in Israel's history. It's the time of the judges. It's very chaotic and unsettled. But there's hope that God can redeem even the greatest heartaches, that this child will be a restorer of life. And because of Ruth's unfailing love and loyalty, Obed is born, and Obed grows up, and he has a son named Jesse. And Jesse grows up and he has a son named David, the king. And Ruth is one of the precious mothers who's listed in the bloodline of the Messiah, the root of Jesse. Matthew chapter 1, verse 5. Later on you have Sarah, or earlier on, you have Sarah. As Sarah laughs at the prospect of being a mother after all of these years of trying, Genesis 18. But the hope of the Lord wins out. She mothers Isaac, continuing on the promised line of Abraham. You have Hannah, who so longs to be a mom. She wants a child so bad, and she prays so hard and so fervently. Her heart is filled with hope, but it's hope deferred, and that makes her heart sick. But God fulfills her desire, and she mothers Samuel, goes on to be a great prophet of the Lord. You have Hagar, and hope drives Hagar to run away from home in order to protect her son Ishmael, Genesis 16. You have Elizabeth, who knows that the Lord has looked favorably upon her. She has hope for her son John, that he would be a forerunner to go ahead of the Christ and prepare the way for him, Luke chapter 1. You have Mary. Mary is the recipient of the good news that her child would be called Son of the Most High. That's a big dream. The angels sing out, and shepherds come to the manger. Luke 2:19, Mary treasured up all of these things, pondering them in her heart. Oh, the hope that she must have had for her son. Now, Mary just gets a peek, just a glimpse into what God is doing through her. But she is treasuring up all of these moments in her heart, all these hopes that she is holding on to tenderly. She doesn't know everything that's going to happen through him, but she hopes and she dreams and she wonders and she imagines. A loving, godly mother has hope. A hope that imagines a bright, wide open future for their children. One that's full of goodness and peace and life and joy and purpose and righteousness, all in the name of hope. And so they sacrifice and they risk and they pray and they teach and they protect and they nourish and they serve, give so much of themselves for the sake of their kids. It is a highly honorable calling. It is a divine privilege to be a mother. But as we have said throughout this series, this kind of love that's described in 1 Corinthians 13 is hard. Every aspect is incredibly challenging, and hope is no exception. We all know that hope can grow dim, that hope can waver. We all know that sometimes our hopes don't work out. At some point, it becomes your child's story to write. It's their life to live. Your child gets to choose their own adventure. And so the question then becomes for you, when your children make a decision that leads to an unsatisfactory ending, will you be one who lets them go back and try again and choose another path? Hope is a powerful expression of love when it looks like grace. And grace is a gift. Paul talks about that in Romans chapter 5 and Ephesians chapter 2. It is a gift of hope. Grace hopes that there's still potential for a good ending, that if given another chance and another chance to choose again, that they will make the right one. And as a mother, you have that gift to give. Through your love, your children can see and they can experience in a very tangible way the grace of God, that grace that is made possible only through Jesus the Christ. Whether it's mother and children or God and all of his children, grace says that I still have hope in you. In fact, I still have big dreams. As a child of God and a child of our parents, we wonder sometimes, will you still love me when I'm hard to love? When I've messed up big, will you still have hope? Now, those questions come from a place of insecurity within us, and we need someone, we long for someone who is outside of ourselves to reassure us that even when the story isn't going well, that there's still hope, that someone hasn't given up. And that's a gift that you can give to your children, and it is a very godly gift to give. Paul writes in Romans chapter 8 that creation, all of us, we're groaning. There's this painful groan coming out of the world. Groaning because this life hurts. Groaning because things don't always work out. Groaning because life can be unfair and life can be unjust. And he likens that groaning of all things in verse 22 to childbirth. To childbirth. And while I have heard childbirth can be uncomfortable, it is the beginning of something beautiful. Life comes in where there was pain. Suffering gives way to joy. And he says that's God's big plan. That the groaning will not be forever. That life and joy are on the way. Jesus says in John 16, when a woman is giving birth, she has sorrow because her hour has come. But when she has delivered the baby, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been brought into the world. So also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. And so Paul concludes in Romans 8 that this suffering, the pain, the groaning of creation necessitates hope. For in this hope we were saved. Now, hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he has seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. We wait for it with patience. We have hope in the God who himself has big hopes. And that is God's big story of love. That's the big story that we read to our kids. The story that tells us that all of God's biggest dreams or big dreams right at the beginning did not work out. Not the way that he wanted. But because of his love, he keeps on saying over and over throughout the story and every day, you can go back and you can choose a different path because the love of God hopes all things. Again, to all of our moms here today, thank you. Thank you for your hope. It is a reflection of God's very nature. Maybe you're a brand new mom and you have all the hopes in the world ahead of you. Maybe you've been a mom long enough to see your kids all grown up. Your hopes have become more defined and more specific. And some of those will work out and some of them won't. But don't give up. The suffering will not be forever. The pain will give way to joy because, and only because, our God does not give up. So I'll leave you with this. It comes from the best book you can read your kids. He has established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach to their children, that the next generation might know them, and the children yet unborn, and arise and tell them to their children, so that they should set their hope in God and not forget the works of the Lord, but keep his commandments. May you instill in your kids the testimony so that they will set their hope in the Lord, so that they will know his mighty works, and so that they will walk in his way. May your hope teach your kids how to hope. May they know why you have hope, and may they know who your hope comes from. And may they know that it is not silly to hope, because hope in the Lord is a lot less like chance or luck, and it's a whole lot more like certainty and faith. Happy Mother's Day. If there's any way that this church family can serve you this morning, if you need prayer, you need a friend, maybe you have some questions and some curiosities, you're looking to the truth, you're looking for the truth. Maybe this morning you're ready to put on Christ in baptism and start that whole new walk with him. However we can serve you, our shepherds will be up front or in the back as we stand and sing.